and get ready to dive into the heart of local sports action. Broadcasting live from the heartland of Missouri, welcome to the SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN. It's now time to catch up on the latest local highlights, in-depth analysis, and interviews from the Boot Heel and beyond. Here's your host, Rusty Hendricks.
Welcome in. Good Saturday morning. It's the SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online, SEMOESPN.com. Glad to have you with us. Should be a fun weekend. Great Saturday here for you today. We're going to have a playoff game here tonight, an opportunity for the Cape Catfish to win the Prospect League Championship tonight, an opportunity for them to win back-to-back championships. So that's going to be exciting. I want to make sure and tune in tonight on SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online, SEMOESPN.com for that. We'll be on the call, and I tell you what, this team just seems destined to get it done, don't they? They just seem like they are destined to find a way to win again. So we'll talk more about them in a moment. But Cardinals got a win last night. We'll talk a little bit about them, about their future. We're going to have Mike Buehler on. He covers the area. He's part of the Sports Desk podcast with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. So we'll talk to him about some football, a little preview of NFL, some college, maybe even a little SEMO, and then I'm going to talk a little volleyball to end the broadcast as well, a little NSSC Volleyball, opportunities for local athletes as far as training, for clinics, for volleyball, opportunities, they have teams and tournaments and things of that nature. So we'll get into that later on in the broadcast as well, but I'll tell you what, so a little over 2 weeks now, my little guy, Riley, entered the world, so still getting adjusted, things like that with him. My daughter, who is going to turn 2 next week. So we're going to have a birthday party for her next weekend. We're getting ready for that. Already got some presents ready for her, so she's adjusting as well. It's been an adjustment for everybody, so 2 under 2 here, folks. So the Hendricks household is chaos. It is madness. Not much sleep going on. So if I sound like I'm tired, it's because I am. So we're going to power through, and hopefully we'll get into a routine a little bit more as we go along in the next, several weeks, months. Will they ever get sleep? I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. But, no, it's been a blessing so far. And, again, thanks to those that have reached out and well wishes and things of that nature, those that have, family members that have helped provide some food here and there. That's been great. So, again, thanks for that. Appreciate it. And, excited for what the future holds for us. So I wanted to get into, again, the Cape Catfish, talk about what they've been able to accomplish this year, an opportunity to accomplish tonight. Because I do think, it's important because of the local part of it, but also just, just the impressiveness of what they've been able to accomplish this year as well. So, again, Cape Catfish, local team, it's a Prospect League team, it's college-age kids, and a lot of these kids are guys that, look, they play right around, in the regular season, they're scheduled for 56 games. They'll end up playing, around 60 games by season's end. So you look at it and you think, okay, that's a lot of games during the summer. And some of these guys, a lot of these guys are guys that may be redshirted or injured during the spring seasons, or they're, incoming freshmen. The guys that maybe didn't get some of that time, just because of guys ahead of them. So needing the reps, needing ways to improve and get better. And, the Prospect League, the whole point is to get coaches and teams in there that are not necessarily doing one-on-one training, but are trying to get these guys to improve, find ways to get better, whether it be, throwing a different pitch in a different count for pitchers or incorporating a different pitch in their arsenal for hitters, and to make sure that they're, on time. Maybe they're, making sure that they're doing things the correct way, fundamental way in the cage. Defensively, maybe, for example, one of the guys has worked on his throwing angle, in particular from the left side of the infield and on. So some of those things, that's the important stuff, trying to get better, and for their colleges and where they go next and helping their college coaches out. So that happens, but also, it's just also the experience of being able to see what pro ball could be like. So it's a prospect league. It gives an opportunity for scouts of, even other colleges, but major league scouts and things of that nature to get extra looks at these guys, not just in the spring season. Because look, if we're talking about during the spring season, we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of colleges that are going on. You can't take a look at everybody. But the summer leagues aren't as big, so a better opportunity for scouts to take a look. And look, remember, maybe a year or two down the road, maybe they do take them in the draft. We'll see. So that's all important. All of that comes together, and you look at the Cape Catfish, what they've been able to accomplish. So this is their 7th season in existence. They have made the playoffs in 6 of the 7 years, and they have an opportunity in 7 seasons to win their 3rd championship. So they won it in 2021. They won it last year in 25. They were even there in 2019. They lost in the championship to the Paints in 2019, their inaugural season. But ever since the beginning, there's been ownership for the buy-in. We've seen some of the transformations at the ballpark there at Capitol Hall that, look, Catfish don't own the ballpark. SEMO, they don't own the ballpark. But to credit to the city, who does, the city in conjunction with those other entities that I just said, they've also had some buy-in, and they've helped make it better and make improvements. Now, there's still more to be made. There's still other plans. There's a home run deck that they built in right field. There's plans to do something maybe similar in the left field seating arrangement. So there's more to be done, but still, steps have been made. And again, kudos to everybody involved. And again, you talk about the management with the Patels, with the Limbaughs there at the very top. And then the president, Glenn Campbell, I'm telling you, Glenn Campbell, no one else is more plugged in than this guy. And he deserves a ton of credit of getting and making this team what it is as far as, the atmosphere, what it's like with all the different food vendors and things like that are there, with the in-between inning scenarios, with all the entertainment with that, all the giveaways that they have, the pricing. You talk about all the merchandise. Yeah, that's all Glenn Campbell's baby. And then you get into the team itself. Glenn has a part of that as well. But you talk about, the SEMO Hall of Famer and Mark Hogan, all the connections that he has, a long time into this business, what he's able to do with helping get the right type of guys here in Cape Girardeau is awesome. And with the coaching staff in place, and we've had good coaches here, good managers. So all of that being said, again, it starts from the top down, and that's a trickle-down effect for success, and the Catfish have done that. So Catfish on the verge. Now, look, got to get it done, got to get one more, but on the verge of another Prospect League championship. So they won 7-6, 7-6 the final on Thursday night. They played on the road in Terre Haute, Indiana, against the Rex. If you look at that game, the Catfish, it's kind of been a theme, but they got down 2-0. The Rex grabbed an early lead with a 2-run single by Deacon Brinkley. The Catfish responded, though. Paxton Flagg drove home. Corey Waters with a single. Nate Durinsky brought in David Kessler on the ground out. Then Caden Nelson, he reached on an error, which allowed Flagg to score. And it was a 2-2 game. Could have got out of the inning with a 2-2 score, but they had an error, just an easy routine grounder to second. Error, booted it. Catfish take the lead 3-2. And they never looked back after that. They extended the lead. Big single by Kessler. Big double by Dorinsky as well. The Catfish got up 6-2. Now, able to answer where the Rex later on make it a close game. You got to give credit to Trenton Chenard. He had a little issues, a little rocky at times with his control, but made it through, the 5 innings, had just 2 runs allowed, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts. He was great. They had an opportunity late in the ball game when their big bopper for the Rex, Wally Diaz, who led the league in home runs during the year, was over the plate, and the Catfish were able to get him to retire. So that was a huge out. And then it was a 1-run game. Will Lawson striking out the last couple of batters to get it done. So opportunity for the Catfish to win back-to-back championships. They will have their guys ready to go, rested. Some of their back-end bullpen arms who did not pitch weren't available. They will be available today. And then, a guy in Colin Sinkpill who has a real opportunity to win the MVP. He didn't play on Thursday. He had back tightness before the game. He's a guy that wants to be in there. He was kind of pleading his case to be in there. The manager, Colin Bukiewicz, said, you know what, look, to be safe, I'd rather have a guy that's 100% than a guy that's compromised. It's all right. And that's kind of speaks to the depth aspect of this team. This team is as deep as I have seen since the inception of 2019. But you look at all the stats, all the information. This team led the league in runs scored, led the league in RBIs. Those are prospect league records, not just season records, but records ever since 2009. They led the league ever in batting average, in sac flies. All those were records broken this year. In wins, 45 wins. They now have, including the postseason, 48 wins on the season. Have an opportunity to get to 49 with a victory today. So if they win today, season's over. They win the championship. If they lose, there will be a do-or-die game 3 of the series on Sunday. But trying to get it done today are the Cape Catfish. But both of those games would be hosted by the Fish. It's at Kappa Field. They don't have anything going on. Please go support the Catfish. Go witness something special. So, again, that should be fun. This team, go by the numbers. The winningest team in Prospect League history, the best offense in Prospect League history, and literally can go down as the best team in Prospect League history. Their pitching has been the best in the league, best ERA, best whip, top 5 in strikeouts, top 5 in walks allowed, all that stuff. The defense, they are 4th in the league in fielding percentage, fewest errors. So, again, top 5 in defense. You literally go every category. They're right there towards the top of the league. And there's some good players on this team. Got a couple of guys that's going to be playing at SEMO next year. Hayden Nazarenas in the middle of the lineup. And, one of their top bullpen arms in Trey O'Neill. Both of those guys are going to be going to SEMO next year. So, again, able to witness something special. 6:35 start tonight. We're going to try to be on the air at 6:20 for the pregame show, SEMO ESPN Radio. Make sure and check it out. If you can't, please come to the ballpark. Please come to the ballpark at Capitol Hall. It should be a lot of fun. So, how did they get to this point? They won 2 big playoff games in the divisional round and the championship round. This is what it sounded like in the championship round with a win over the Quincy Doggy Paddlers.
Would host Saturday and Sunday. Terre Haute, Indiana for the Rex. Fly ball to center. Ivers underneath. He's got it. And this one is in the books. The Catfish have made it back to the Prospect League Championship Series.
The 2025 reigning Prospect League champions are going back to the big show. We'll see what happens on Thursday. We'll see what happens following Thursday on Saturday and Sunday. But the Catfish, yet another win. All around great pitching from the Fish, great hitting, great fielding.
So that was Kyler Messenger and myself on the call there. Again, Catfish been a really fun team to watch. They've bought in, great culture. You talk about the culture from the top down to the management, but also host families, the fans, the families themselves, all of them bought in. Pretty special. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk about the Cardinals next. They got a win over the Rockies last night. Stay with us, SEMO Scramble, here on SEMO ESPN. SEMO Scramble, SEMO ESPN Radio. Glad to have you with us. Rusty Hendricks here in the KGIR studios. So, St. Louis Cardinals back after the break, the All-Star break, and then on after the trade deadline. So, tell you what, been a little bit of an up and down year. They got off to a pretty good start. They had a lull there, especially in June and July, and then, here in August as well, trying to recover, trying to figure out what's the plan going forward, what the outlook for this team is going to be. And part of it here, part of the process, Hein Bloom took over as, the POBO, if you will, president of baseball operations. He came in and saying, look, there's a plan that, hey, we've got to rebuild, revamp the minor league system. We have to kind of figure out some things, find out who we are, get better, and then hopefully in the next couple of years, then we can start pushing a little bit more. So wanting to stick to the plan that this is going to be a process, not going to be an overnight overture. So I think so far that has been in place and that has gone well. You look at the trade deadline, I thought maybe that they would have traded a catcher. I thought maybe they would have traded another bullpen guy. But, they went with really the three probably most, easy trades or ones that you would figure with Dustin May, JoJo Romero, and then Lars Nootbaar. So I'm not surprised by any of those. Maybe the team's a little bit surprised that we traded with the Brewers. But other than that, it makes sense. And I think they got decent returns for both of those. So as a Cardinals fan, I was satisfied with what they were able to get in return. So originally I was like, all right, we get Lars Nootbaar traded. We can see Joshua Baez, see what he's got. Well, they haven't brought him up. It doesn't look like they're going to bring him up until... So, looks like August the 14th, 15th, something like that. If they would bring him up after that date, so basically after another week, then Joshua Baez would still keep his rookie eligibility status. So, basically, he'd have to stay under 45 games. So, the reasoning for that, obviously another year of control. So it makes sense for the Cardinals, okay, bring them up for 2 weeks earlier and you lose a year. Okay, I get it. Wait a couple weeks. So I get it. It makes sense. Roster management. Okay, I can be patient. I've been patient this long. I can be patient. So potentially we see Joshua Baez in a couple weeks. Maybe we don't see him until the rosters expand in September. We'll see. But I do expect him to come up at least at some point the rest of the season and get a handful of bats with the Cardinals and at least compete next year for a chance in the outfield for the big league club. So there's that. The Cardinals picked up a lefty in Caleb Ferguson. We've seen him a couple outings now, and he pitched last night in relief, and he's done well so far with not a whole lot given up, $250,000 in international pool money. So, okay, we'll take that. And a guy that pitched last night in Kyle Leahy, Another good outing. 5 innings, 2 runs, no walks, 8 strikeouts, and a 3.45 ERA. So I got to give credit to Brendan Schaefer. He writes for MLB.com and part of STL Sports Central. He says, it's been 51 days since Kyle Leahy had a start in which he allowed more than 2 runs. So that's now 8 consecutive starts with 2 or fewer runs after the 5 innings he turned in on Friday. So the only miss of that was on the front of a lengthy rain delay against the Braves, but both starters didn't start after that delay. So really no start for, fault, that is, of Leahy. So that's pretty impressive. Again, there is a small stretch where I was about ready to get Leahy out of the rotation. But to his credit, he has readjusted, turned around, and been fantastic. So you look at him, what Andre Palante has done, and even Michael McGreevy. McGreevy has hit maybe a wall the last couple of games. But even him, those 3 have been pretty solid. Are any of them going to be a top arm of the rotation? No, probably not. But can they all be a number 3 type, number 4 type? And if that's so, that's valuable. And because they're all under control. They all are under control for more, several more seasons. So there's a good start. And then you look at, guys like Weatherholt and Walker, Burleson, or even Herrera, which last night in the ballgame, as the Cardinals got the victory 3-2, they have 2 sac flies. They were down 1-0. They got a sac fly in the second to tie it. Actually, both of those sac flies came in the second inning to tie it, and then also to take the lead 2-1. They added a run in the fourth. How did that sound in the fourth inning with the St. Louis Cardinals and Ivan Herrera? We'll listen to it. Here we go.
The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a drive. He got a hanger and did not miss it. Long home run for Herrera.
So Herrera's still not kind of hitting with full force. So he's been someone, I'm not going to say necessarily a full disappointment, but someone that I felt like, he could have provided more punch. I always thought, he was going to be a guy that was going to hit for average. He hasn't done that this year. Maybe it'll improve. But at least some of the slug has gotten better. He's hit several doubles over the last week, a couple of home runs, so that has gotten better. Herrera, I think, if he can end the season strong, I'll be happy with that. I've been happier with Mason Wynn's at-bats. He's been more of a slap hitter, spraying the ball over the field, which I feel like he should be anyway. So that's good. So there are some good things to take away from the Cardinals. And again, I was okay with their deadline. So they also, looks like at latest news, they're going to be probably sending down or DFAing Nelson Velasquez. So they picked up a guy off waivers in Pereira, a guy from the White Sox. So he is expected to be added to the roster. Nelson Velasquez down. So taking a flyer on a guy that was a former top 100 prospect. So interesting. I'll take it. Okay. So taking a flyer, see what they have there. Cardinals will have a game today. Game tomorrow against the Rockies, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, they'll play against the Phillies before the Cubs, the Reds, the Phillies again, Orioles, and Pirates to round out the month. So right now, there's still a chance. Cardinals, you get hot, you're 3.5 out. 3.5 out of the wild card. Now, you've jumped some teams, like the Nationals have fallen back, the Marlins have fallen back, the Reds, the Pirates. The Mets and Giants are out of it. So right now you have the Padres are in front of you, 2 games back, and then the Phillies and the Diamondbacks who are tied for the final third, second and third spots in the wild card. So that would be the guess, is that probably the Diamondbacks and Phillies would get it. But, the Cardinals, again, you get hot. Maybe the last month or so, you got a shot. So I'd like to see this team play well down the stretch. If not, then, well, just go ahead and see if we can get a better draft pick for next year. But, again, continue to see what we have in these guys and make important roster decisions going forward. What's going to happen next year with the labor disputes? I don't know. I don't feel good about getting a full season in, to be honest with you. There's some reports out there. Jeff Passan has reported multiple times from ESPN saying that owners expect that there won't be a season at all next year unless something changes. So we'll see where the rubber hits the road. There's gonna have to be some people, both sides taking some compromises. We'll see what happens, but it doesn't look sunshine and rainbows and butterflies for next year as of right now. One cool note last night. It means a lot to me because, in the broadcasting business, I loved and idolized Jack Buck growing up. I thought he was fantastic, some of his calls. And I've always been a Joe Buck fan as well. And Joe Buck was announced as the Ford Frick winner into the Hall of Fame this year. So father-son duo in the Bucks. It was the bobblehead night at St. Louis last night. Joe Buck threw out the first pitch, so a chance to honor him. And this is what it sounded like. I wanted to let you tune in on the broadcast last night with Joe Buck joining the TV crew and Chip Carey and Mark Sweeney. Listen in.
Hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night. Those the dulcet tones of Hall of Famer Joe Buck.
There they are. I was there that night.
The other day, David Freese came to the ballpark to do one of the Cardinal conversations, and I asked him, how often do you listen to that call? He said, I listen to it every day. In fact, I listened to it 10 minutes before I got in the car.
No way.
I swear. That's exactly what he said.
Yeah, well, I was walking through Chesterfield Mall when that was a thing with my daughter, and there was a picture of that signed by David Freese, and the guy asked me to sign it, and then Freese somehow got it. Like, he likes that call. He likes that. Why wouldn't he?
Well, of course.
We all love the call.
The call was just me being a Jack Buck cover band, but it worked out. I could barely talk that year. I had a paralyzed vocal cord, and I won an Emmy on one call. It's that tells you all you need to know about the Emmys.
And our business, right?
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations. I got to ask you, now that you've had a chance to reflect.
Base hit.
Yeah, Mason, a great effort. Couldn't get it. Another leadoff man on for the Rockies. Now that you've had a chance to decompress a week later, has it hit you?
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun weekend in Cooperstown, which if you haven't been there, you should. That's a town that's stuck in time and for the best possible reasons. And we had everybody there. My mom, my sister, my kids, the older ones, daughters, one husband, one boyfriend, my little boys. And, the coolest part was watching my boys play with Chipper Jones's kids on the lawn at the hotel playing wiffle ball. It was just, couldn't have been better. It could not have been better.
So, again, that was Joe Buck last night with the TV crew. I enjoyed that, and congratulations to Joe Buck. I think he is well deserving to go into the Hall of Fame. So, St. Louis Cardinals, again, get the victory last night. Excited for, what can happen down the stretch here. I want to be able to see Jimmy Crooks more. I want to be able to see some of those returns on some of those other guys. Can Nathan Church have a hot stretch in center field and take that position a little bit? Can some of these pitchers continue to do well? Can Matthew Liberatore, can he turn around? He had a good start in his last start. Can he turn it around? So some of these things we'll watch down the stretch and see how the Cardinals react. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk a little football coming up next. Talking things over with Mike Buehler. We'll be right back on the SEMO Scramble. Welcome back. It's the SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online, SEMO ESPN.com. Happy to be joined here on our phone line by Mike Buehler. He's the host of the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle, so you can check them out on social media there. So, Mike, good morning. How we doing, my friend?
I'm not doing too bad. How are things with you?
Doing well. Trying to figure out how to get some sleep with two kiddos under 2, so I haven't figured that one out yet, but we're working on it.
That can be an adventure.
Absolutely. All right, I want to talk a little football with you. I know you're a guy that has covered a lot of local sports, so here down the road we can talk about that. I know obviously high school football is going to be gearing up in a few weeks and things of that nature. The high school season as well. But first, I wanted to get into NFL, as teams are in training camp, getting ready, things of that nature, always a fun time, this type of year is, okay, who has the best shot to win the Super Bowl in the upcoming season? Who's the team, the highest playoff odds, things of that nature. So as of right now for the Super Bowl, the Los Angeles Rams are the favorite to win the championship. The reigning champs are at 11-1, and that's the Seattle Seahawks. So they have the fourth best odds as of right now. But if I were to ask you, Mike, who do you think can challenge for the Super Bowl? Who would you throw in a hat of a couple of the teams that, in your opinion, has the best opportunity to win it this year?
Well, I'm going to lead off with the Los Angeles Rams. We've talked about that quite a bit on the podcast because my co-host Kyle Roberts is a huge Rams fan, and he's very confident about this team winning the Super Bowl. And I agree with him because, they added Myles Garrett, which is a huge pickup in that defense. There is, I think, a very strong chance they're going to get Aaron Donald out of retirement, and that is going to be a very, very hard team to beat. However, they're going to have to earn it because they are in the same division with the defending champion Seattle Seahawks. That's a hard team to bet against. The San Francisco 49ers, are always tough. And that's all in one division. Right now, I would say the Niners are probably the third best team in that division. But, the Rams and the Seahawks both look good. I also like Buffalo Bills over in the AFC. I thought they stepped back a little last year, but they got Josh Allen, and I still think their window's open. I also like Denver. They came so close to going to the Super Bowl last year, and they got Bo Nix back. Right now, I think that's my top four. Don't rule out the Patriots, the team that did win the AFC last year. It's going to be interesting.
So who do you think, look, for a team to go to the Super Bowl, you pretty much have to have a quarterback that excels and a quarterback that is helped leading the team. That's just how it works. And, it's always the MVP. It goes to the best quarterback. That's just how it goes. So for a quarterback, who can be that guy that take kind of that next step, that big jump? I thought, for example, last year, obviously, May for the Patriots took that big jump. And guess what? The Patriots are right there in the playoffs doing some good things. I thought also last year, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence took a step and they were better. Maybe it's a guy for Chicago, or maybe it's somewhere else. I don't know. Who do you think could be a quarterback to take the next step and help lead them, for a playoff run?
Well, I'm going to show a little bit of my favoritism a bit and say the quarterback for my favorite team, the Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward. Ward had a really solid rookie season playing on what was an absolutely horrible Titans team. I think he's got a chance to take a big step forward. He's got a really good offensive coordinator this year with Brian Daboll that came over from the Giants. They've added, another really strong wide receiver in Carnell Tate. They also added Wan'Dale Robinson to free agency. I could be wrong because this Titans team has really struggled the last few years, but I like Ward. I like how he came on late in the season, and I think he's got the pieces and the coaching to really take a step forward this year and could possibly, help the Titans surprise a few people.
What about a team in the NFL that you think could regress? A team that maybe had some success last year, even the past couple of years, but maybe not so sure this year. Maybe they lose a step.
There are actually two teams I could see doing that. One of them is the New England Patriots. I never was completely sold on that team last year. I could be wrong, and they could be a contender for years to come, but I could see them maybe stepping back a little this year. Another team that I think that could also happen with the Detroit Lions is this is a team that's window might be closing, and they missed the playoffs last year, and I just wonder if this team's window's closing and if they could possibly turn back into being more like the Lions of old.
A team for me, I know you mentioned them earlier as potentially being the third best team in the division, but I'm not as high on the 49ers this year. I think that they could take a step back. and could struggle a little bit. Obviously there was some news out there with Shanahan with the injury that he had during the offseason. I look at the Packers. I'm not sure. Obviously they have had issues over the past couple of years being consistent on offense, and then his name is escaping me, but their top defender, Mike, he's injured. I think he's going to miss the first. Micah Parsons. I believe he's going to miss the first part of the season for them as well. So that's another team I think could take a step back this year. But, all right, we talked about those that could regress. What about some sleepers, some teams that maybe haven't had a lot of success in the past but could surprise some people this year?
Well, like I said earlier, the Tennessee Titans, I think, could be a sleeper. They drafted good this year. They had some nice pieces in free agency. I'm a big fan of Robert Saleh as a coach. He's got a good offensive coordinator in Brian Dable. This is a team that I think could take a step forward. I'm almost afraid to say it as a Titans fan because we've been so bad for so long. But this is a team that I really think could take a nice step forward this year. And as a fan, I'm hoping we will. I'm looking through some other teams that could be sleepers. Maybe the New York Jets. I don't know. It's hard to say because that's another team that's been perennially bad.
Could the Vikings be a sleeper? I think about them because you think about their offense. They still have Justin Jefferson. They have Aaron Jones, and they have Addison, a wide receiver. Now, the quarterback is a question. It's a real question. But if Kyler Murray can be decent, or even if J.J. McCarthy can be a guy in what he looked like or version of himself that looked like in college with Michigan, can the Vikings be that? Or, I don't know.
You know something? I think they could. And my co-host, Mark Sanders, might kill me for saying this because he is a very, very superstitious Minnesota Vikings fan. But, yeah, that team could be a sleeper. They've got a nice quarterback choice with Kyler Murray and a developing J.J. McCarthy that, if he gets the starting nod, could really take a step forward this year. They do have some nice pieces back. I think they also added some solid pieces in the draft. That could be an interesting team to watch. That's going to be a tough division because you've got teams in that division that could do well or that could take a step back. You've got a Lions team that could go either way. You've got a Packers team that could go either way. And you've got a Chicago Bears team that's on the rise with Caleb Williams. He did some nice things last year, and this could be a good team going forward. I mean, nobody's ever thought of Bears as being a team with a great quarterback. I mean, even on that Super Bowl team back in '86, they were known for their defense and for Walter Payton, and Jim McMahon was, kind of secondary. But now they are known as, this is Caleb Williams' team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, the NFC South, too. I really don't know who to pick because I don't know, the Panthers, if they're going to be still solid, if the Bucs are going to be there, the Falcons, and even the Saints, I think they could be a lot better this year. So I don't know, that could be an interesting division where everyone's jumbled up there. But I want to move to college here. I want to move up to college real quick, have a couple more minutes left with Mike Buehler. Again, he's the host of the Sports Desk podcast here locally with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens in college football. I want to ask you about Mizzou. Is there an opportunity that they could make a playoff this year? I thought there was a lot of high hopes going into last year that they would be a playoff team. It didn't happen. And part of the issue for Mizzou over the past few years has been they haven't had the quarterback situation all figured out, where they haven't had a guy that has helped lead them. Brady Cook was a solid quarterback, but he wasn't a guy that got you over the hump. Last year, obviously, they didn't have that as well, injuries and problems. They have a guy in the transfer portal they got from Austin Simmons of Ole Miss. He's a guy that, believe it or not, he was the starter heading into the season. He played a couple of games at Ole Miss before he got hurt, and a guy named Trinidad Chambliss stepped in and then helped take them to the playoff. So, again, Simmons was the guy that was starting for them, and he transferred to Mizzou. He's pretty much the clear-cut favorite as starter. But I worry about their defense a little bit. They lost quite a bit there. Is Ahmad Hardy their top running back? Is he going to be healthy? So I don't know. Can they be a playoff team in your mind? And then also, secondary to that, Mike, Is there anybody going to challenge Indiana as they have kind of turned into that top team across college football as a team to beat? So what are your thoughts about those two things?
As for Mizzou, can they make a playoff? Yes, because anything can happen in college football. I mean, this is a sport where, anything can happen. I'm not real confident they're going to. Austin Simmons, when he played last year, looked good, but not great. I'm hoping that having played on that Ole Miss team that made a deep postseason run, that he's going to bring some of that to Mizzou. I'm hoping that Hardy gets healthy. If those both happen, their chances of making the playoff increase. But the SEC is really tough. It's going to be hard sledding. They're going to have to earn it. And that's a good question about Indiana. They're the defending national champions. I'm not real convinced they're going to repeat. The Big Ten is absolutely savage.
Yeah.
But you never know. You never know. They could be back. You've always got Ohio State that's right in the picture, and you got schools laden with tradition. The USCs. You've got. It's going to be interesting. Then of course you got the SEC. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Archie Manning is back at Texas. We'll see if they can take the jump there. Texas is a team. You mentioned Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, a lot of those teams as well. It'll be interesting. Time will tell on that. How about in the FCS level? We'll end with this, Mike. SEMO, I was looking at the analyst, and Craig Haley, who wrote that. He covers FCS football. He talked about his top teams in the OVC, and he has Southeast Missouri State pegged 4th. And right now, they're in a quarterback battle. The returner in Johnny Weber for the Red Hawks, he was 3-2 as a starter, and they bring in a guy named Chance Wilson who transferred from the FCS champion Montana State. So which of those guys can step up? Can they figure out the running game, which has been an issue this past season? But their defense is going to be better, I think. They are led by McCoy Casey, a guy that one of the OVC's premier players. So I think that's probably, in my opinion, about where they should be. 3 or 4 are the Red Hawks, but maybe they can surprise some teams this year. But it should be a competitive OVC this year, and I'm looking forward to the Red Hawks season. What about you?
It's going to be – that's another one that's going to be interesting. The biggest thing that SEMO needs to do this year that they struggled with last year is stay healthy. They were absolutely, ripped with injuries last year. And the biggest thing they need to do this year is stay healthy. If they could stay healthy, they could make some noise. As for the QB battle, Chance Wilson's interesting. Coming from the defending national champion, I think that right there means he's got a shot to possibly win that starting job. One thing that helps with the running game is I think they're going to have Peyton Brown back. He did some nice things for them when he was healthy, but I think he was hurt last year.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I am excited for the season, and Coach Tuke has done a great job in his tenure with the Red Hawks. And one thing we know, they're going to be hard-nosed. They're going to play hard. Kind of the big key, too, is can they just stay healthy? Can some of their key contributors stay healthy? And big thing for me is when the Red Hawks have had success as a program, they've had success because of their offensive-defensive line. So you got to win in the trenches, especially at that level, and really at any level. So that's also something I want to really see the Red Hawks kind of be the more physical team every time they go up there. So we'll see if they can accomplish that this year. But, Mike, really appreciate the time. I got to run, but thanks so much for joining us again. Mike Buehler of the Sports Desk. Last thing, what do you have coming up there?
We on our next podcast, we've got an interview with Poplar Bluff Mules football legend Eddie Moss, who ended up playing at SEMO and also played a few years with the St. Louis football Cardinals. And then also, joined by Eric Williams, who played quite a few years with the football Cardinals back in the 70s. Got to talk to them yesterday at the Neil Skinner Golf Tournament in Poplar Bluff, and looking forward to having them on the show because in Poplar Bluff, Eddie Moss is an absolute legend. I'm very excited about that one. Later this month, we are doing a volleyball preview. We're going to be doing a high school football preview. Really looking forward to those. Planning to talk to some of the coaches in the area. Already got an interview or two lined up, and really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Good stuff. Mike, thanks for doing that for me this morning. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Sounds great.
All right. That is Mike Buehler again. He is the host of the Sports Desk podcast. Appreciate him for joining us. Check him out on social media. Just search for The Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. All right. We'll talk a little volleyball up next. Stay with us. SEMO Scramble continues. We'll be right back. Welcome back in. It's the SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online, SEMOESPN.com. Remember, after the show, you can always check out the podcast page and check out all the interviews and things like that we cover. And again, that's after the show. That's SEMOESPN.com/podcast. So, happy to be joined now on our phone line on the SEMO Scramble with two members of the NSSC Volleyball Club, the club director in Dean Ritter, and the girls director in Kacie Ritter-Speight as well. So, guys, thanks for joining me this morning. How are we doing?
We're doing
Good.
great. Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So, Carl, I will start with you. It's been, I think, 25 years since you started the volleyball club, I think since 2001. Kind of take us through the evolution of how it started to where we are now, and just kind of, I guess a little bit about the volleyball club, what you're trying to accomplish and what you offer.
Yeah, Rusty. So the club started back when Casey was probably in the 5th grade at Advanced High School, and wanted to give her and the local girls there an opportunity to play club volleyball and to, improve their skills beyond the actual school season. So that's how we started, was in the old gym in Advanced High School. And then from there, we kind of evolved and started bringing more girls from Stoddard County into the program. Later on then, as I moved into my coaching ranks, went to Scott City High School, coached there, and after 2 years there, I left. And in the midst of all this, we still had NSSC Volleyball Club. But then when I left there, we ramped it up even more, started bringing more girls in to the club. That initially we were NSSC Volleyball Club, which stood for North Stoddard County, and then of course we moved into Scott County girls, and so it changed to NSSC Volleyball, standing for North Stoddard and Scott counties. And over the time, it has just grown to where we've reached girls from Illinois, Poplar Bluff, Winona, up north of Perryville, St. John, Fredericktown. I mean, we could just go on and on how we've reached out to bring in opportunities for young ladies to improve their skills. And we're a club about trying to bring as many girls possible into the club to give them an opportunity to play and improve their skill, improve their game of volleyball.
And Casey, you're the girls director. I know that you have a hand on some of the skills clinics and things. I know there's some of those that are coming up later in the month. So talk a little bit about that, Casey, if you will, about the skills clinics, the things that you offer. What does kind of the day in life of a clinic look like, and what that can bring to a potential athlete?
Yeah, so we have upcoming this Monday and Tuesday, we have a skills clinic for ages 8 up to 14-year-olds, and they sign up. They have the ability to sign up for either a passing and setting clinic, and then, of course, a hitting and blocking clinic. And when they come in, we have my coaching staff. We come in, and we just meet them at the skill level that they are at, and we teach them techniques. And it's about technique work, making sure they know how to do the proper techniques in order to improve their overall game and the confidence. And then about reps, right? You can't get better unless you get some reps. So it just allows us to be more intentional and get to know people. We have a lot of kids that come in, and they try our club out just in those clinics. And so it's just an opportunity for parents and the players to see what NSSC is about. And we do all those clinics during the summer. We do majority of our high school clinics in the month of June because they're not as heavy scheduled when it comes to their high school summer schedules. So we do a lot of clinics for high school in the summer and then, of course, camps. But pretty much we just open the gym, we open our doors, and allow kids and parents, whether they belong to NSSC already or they're wanting to just explore their options, to see what we're about, and then, again, just give them the proper techniques and teaching of what volleyball is.
Yeah, so when you look at those clinics and then just training, individually, how does that look like, when players come in? I think you said a key word. You said you meet them at their level. So, you're a type of volleyball club that doesn't turn anybody away, but accepts everybody as far as, where they're at, trying to help them, improve. Is there time at all for like a little bit of one-on-one training, or are there opportunities available for something like that as well? How are you continuing to improve these players?
Yes, so what we do is we typically take a normal clinic. We'll start off with this as a basic drill where we can kind of identify where the players are at on the skill level. And then I break apart my coaching staff, and my coaches are amazing. They know where they need to meet the players at, and they know what level they need to be met at. And one group may go with a coach that may need to be pushed a little bit more, right? Because we don't want to waste anyone's money. We want to make sure they get exactly what they came for. Whereas another group may be more of technical. They may be beginners. So we're going to meet them at where they are at right now. Usually whenever they come to our clinics and our camps, the question is, wow, they really love it. Is there any more camps or clinics or trainings that my daughter can get, or my son? And that's when I'm happy to tell them that NSSC, we do offer one-on-one or group trainings. I have a group of coaching staff that will take on clients, and they just email us at info@nsscvolleyball.com, and they fill out a little form, then go to our website as well, and they fill out a form, and then I match them up with a coach that I feel is best for their athlete, and then they make their arrangements with that coach, and then that coach will see them either one-on-one, like I said, or with a small group of 2 to 4 girls or guys in a group setting, and then they just improve their skill on whatever calendar source that the athlete and the coach can work out.
Yeah, and you guys offer, it's not just training and skills camps, but it's actual teams that you put together and, play across, other teams and tournaments and things like that. So tell us a little bit about how your teams have done this summer. Any idea how many you have now? I mean, you have a ton of coaches throughout your volleyball club. So tell us a little bit about that. And I know that there's tryouts at certain points throughout the year to be able to be a part of that.
Yeah, so when it comes to our teams, of course, most of our season ends in May, 1st of May, which I think is fine because sometimes girls, or our boys, they need a time of rest, right? Overuse of the body needs to rest, and so does the mind. And we're doing a lot of mental training with our club because club volleyball is not just about the skill, it's also about the mental training as well. So our teams, we put together teams based on skills. We like to try to keep everyone. We will put together a team if we have a qualified coach and if the skill-specific positions, whether we have a setter or a defensive player, we can't really put a girl who's 5'2" like me and put them in the club setting world playing a middle position. It's just not ideal, right? So, and we don't want to waste anyone's time or money if we cannot put together a team that can be competitive at the level that they are playing. Now, this year we did do something a little different. We offered 3 different tiers. We offered a Nike tier since we are sponsored by Nike. We're the only club in the area that's sponsored by Nike. And then we had a black regional tier, and then we had a white local. And what we do there is it gives the parents the ability to choose where they feel comfortable at when it comes to price, when it comes to travel. And there's different levels that girls want to play at. You have some girls that just want to play club volleyball to improve their overall skill, to get better so they can make their high school team, right? you have some girls that their dream is to play college volleyball, so they need to go out a little bit more and see more competition than just what's around here at Southeast Missouri. So we put together a good amount of levels. And again, as long as we have a qualified coach that we can do it, we would love to put together as many teams as possible. But we do have our high school club tryouts just happened in late July. And then we have the upcoming 8U to 14. That is coming up in October, the end of October, and I believe it's October 24th. It's on that Saturday. And we will have 3 open gyms for anyone who just wants to see, again, what club is about or wants to get a little dust off their skills. They can come in and come to an open gym that we host throughout the month of October.
All right, good information there. Last thing, we'll let you guys go. Again, talking things over with the girls director and Kacie Ritter-Speight and the club director and Dean Ritter. And Carl, I wanted to ask you this as we close things out here on the SEMO Scramble. For those parents that may be listening, they have someone, maybe they have a young daughter that is looking into it, or you mentioned you do offer opportunities for boys as well in this volleyball club, and that continues to grow. Boys volleyball in our area as well. Even a few high schools in the area offer boys volleyball. But I want to ask you about what's the selling point? If you were to talk to a parent and talk to them about why NSSC would be a good fit for their child, what would you say?
Well, I think we're a club that is going to fit whatever is most comfortable for the parents. Like Kacie mentioned earlier, we offer opportunities. If you want to travel more, we're going to give you that opportunity. If you just want to stay locally here in Cape, and most of our tournaments here at the Sportsplex, to minimize your travel expense, hotel expenses, we provide that. So we're here to try to fit what fits into the budget, and not just the budget, but people's time. Parents are busy, kids are busy, and all the schools activities that they do. So we are very aware of that, and we try to accommodate what's best for that family. And I think that's our selling point. Plus, we have a great staff that's going to work with you. And I can tell you, over the years we've done this, that there's been so many families create friendships that would have never been made had it not been for volleyball. And we're not just about volleyball, but we're about a relationship that we want to build with those parents and give them the best opportunity and experience that they can have in club volleyball.
All right. So, guys, really appreciate the time this morning talking about the NSSC Volleyball Club. A little bit of a last minute there, getting you guys together. So, again, appreciate the flexibility working with me this morning. And, again, appreciate what you guys do for athletes and volleyball athletes in the area.
Thank you, Rusty.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. That is, again, the directors of the NSSC Volleyball Club, the Ritters in Carl, Dean, and Kacie. Appreciate them for joining me this morning. SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN. That'll do it. Again, check out the Cape Catfish tonight here on KGIR SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online, SEMOESPN.com. A chance to win another Prospect League championship. That's tonight on SEMO ESPN of the Prospect League Network. You don't want to miss that. Come out to Kappa Hall. Yes, it's here, local, at Kappa Hall Field in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. A chance to watch it live. Come on out, support the Cape Catfish. Should be fun. All right, SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN. Have a great day, everybody. Great weekend. We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN. Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 for a dash of hometown pride and the latest news, scores, and stories that matter most to local sports enthusiasts from the Boot Heel and beyond. Right here on SEMO ESPN 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, the SEMO ESPN app, and SEMOESPN.com.